Ever had a flying squirrel interrupt your job interview? Because I just did. So there I was, suited up and perched on a squeaky IKEA chair in the middle of a hot summer afternoon. The job interview was for an up-and-coming tech startup located in an eccentric office building that was formerly a Victorian-era mansion, a kind of spooky but charming place. The CEO was a fast-talking, ideas-a-minute kind of guy named Mark, who had two passions in life: his company and his exotic pets. I was warned about the latter in advance by a friend who worked there, but I hadn't realized the extent of it. We were halfway through the interview when I noticed Mark's eyes drifting upwards, his concentration broken. As I turned my gaze to follow his, I spotted a blur of gray and white zooming down from the antiquated chandelier. It was heading right towards us. In a split second, with a flurry of fur and a flash of tiny claws, a flying squirrel named Cedric, as I was quickly informed, crash-landed right onto my resume, skidding across the polished mahogany table, sending my painstakingly organized portfolio flying. Mark gave an embarrassed chuckle, explaining that Cedric usually slept through the afternoon but must have been roused by the heat. Nonchalantly, as if this happened every Tuesday, he scooped up the little daredevil, offering me a chance to hold him. This was where I made my fatal error. Trying to make a good impression, I said yes. Cedric, perhaps sensing my underlying fear, or maybe just being a squirrel, chose that moment to vault from Mark's hands onto my shoulder, then proceeded to nestle into my perfectly coiffed hair. My thoughts were a mix of "this is a disaster. Does this count as team bonding? And I hope he's not leaving a surprise in there." Mark looked on in amusement, half impressed and half apologetic, as he called in a team member to coax Cedric out. That's when I realized the entire team was crowded around the office glass wall, watching the spectacle with a mixture of horror and delight. The interview ended with a casual debrief, a scratch from Cedric, the badge of honor, they called it, and an offer for a second round. So, if you ever find yourself in a peculiar job interview, just remember, at least you didn't get turned into an impromptu nest for a flying squirrel. And yes, I went back for the second interview. After all, how many people can say their career started with a flying leap from a squirrel?